Most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. Does that hit a little too close to home? We've all been there, sitting across from someone, nodding our heads while our brains are busy rehearsing our next brilliant point instead of actually hearing what they're saying. Before we dive into the meat of today's summary, let's take a collective breath. Usually on this channel, we're grinding through books about market dominance, side hustles, and compounding interest. Those are great, but let's be honest, they can be exhausting. Today, we're shifting gears. Think of this as a soul reset. We're moving away from the balance sheet and looking at the human side of the equation. This isn't about how to make more money. It's about how to be a person worth knowing and a leader worth following. Today, we're unpacking a true titan of the personal development world, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Published back in 1989, this book didn't just top charts. It changed the language of business and personal growth forever. Covey wasn't interested in quick fixes or personality ethics, the kind of surface-level charisma tips you see on TikTok. He was obsessed with character ethics. By the end of this summary, you're going to have a roadmap to move from being dependent on others to being a truly independent and eventually interdependent powerhouse. Part 1. The Private Victory. Independence. Habit 1. Be proactive. This is the foundation. Being proactive isn't just about taking initiative. It's about realizing that between a stimulus and your response, there is a space. In that space lies your freedom. Stop worrying about the circle of concern, the weather, the economy, what your ex is doing, and focus on your circle of influence. When you focus on what you can actually change, your circle of influence grows. My grandmother, Grandma Martha, spends every morning at the kitchen table, clutching a newspaper and grumbling about the rising cost of bread and eggs. She blames the incompetent politicians, the greedy corporations, and the decaying economy. She spends hours in this state of frustration. Does Grandma's complaining lower the price of eggs? No, it only raises her blood pressure. Grandma is living in her circle of concern, things she cares about but has zero control over. A proactive person focuses on their circle of influence. Instead of losing sleep over inflation, they focus on their own budget, their skills, or how they treat their neighbors. When you focus on what you can change, that circle starts to grow. Habit 2. Begin with the end in mind. Imagine you're at your own funeral. I know, a bit morbid, but stay with me. What do you want the people there to say about you? If you don't have a blueprint for your life, you're just building a house at random. This habit is about personal leadership, writing your own mission statement so you don't end up climbing a ladder that's leaning against the wrong wall. Here's a story of 2 men working on a construction site. A passerby asks the first man what he's doing. He sighs and says, "I'm laying bricks because I need a paycheck." He asks the second man, who says with a smile, "I'm building a cathedral that will stand for generations." The first man is reactive. He's just surviving. The second man has begun with the end in mind. He understands that every small action is part of a grander vision. Covey challenges us. If you were attending your own funeral today, what would you want your loved ones to say about your character? That vision is your cathedral. Habit 3. Put first things first. This is where the rubber meets the road. Habit 1 says you're the programmer. Habit 2 says write the program, and Habit 3 says run the program. We spend too much time in Quadrant 1, urgent crises, and not enough in Quadrant 2, strategic planning, relationship building, and self-care. Effectiveness is about saying no to the unimportant so you can say yes to the vital. A professor puts a glass jar on a table and fills it with big rocks. He asks if it's full. The students say yes. He then pours in pebbles, then sand, then water. The lesson? If you don't put the big rocks in first, your health, your family, your long-term goals, you'll never fit them in later because the sand, emails, chores, social media, will fill up your life first. Effectiveness is the courage to say no to the urgent sand so you can say yes to the important rocks. Part 2. The Public Victory. Interdependence. Once you've got your internal house in order, it's time to look outward. This is how we play well with others. Habit 4. Think win-win. Most of us are conditioned to think life is a zero-sum game. If you win, I lose. Covey argues that's a recipe for long-term failure. Win-win is a frame of mind that seeks mutual benefit in all human interactions. It's not about being nice, it's about being effective. If you can't find a solution that helps both parties, no deal is often the best option. Covey tells a story of a husband who was directed by a judge to sell his assets and give half to his ex-wife. To win out of spite, he sold a $200,000 sports car for $50 and gave her $25. He won the argument, but he lost $100,000 in the process. That's lose-lose. Win-win isn't about being a doormat. It's about realizing that if both parties don't feel like they've won, the relationship eventually loses. Habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. This is the most transformative habit for relationships. We usually listen through our own autobiographical lens. We judge, we probe, we advise based on our own experiences. Practice empathic listening. Give the other person psychological air. When people feel truly understood, their defenses go down, and real problem solving can begin. Imagine you going to an eye doctor, and before you say a word, he takes off his own glasses, hands them to you, and says, "Here, these have worked for me for years. Try them." You put them on, and everything is a blur. He gets angry and says, "What's wrong with you? They work for me." We do this in conversations all the time. We offer advice before we've even diagnosed the other person's problem. Empathic listening is about seeing the world through their lenses before you try to change them. Habit 6. Synergize. This is the magic habit. Synergy is the idea that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. 1 + 1 = 3 or 30 or 300. If you plant two plants close together, their roots commingle and improve the quality of the soil so that both plants grow better than if they were separated. In human terms, synergy is about valuing differences. If you and I have the same opinion, one of us is unnecessary. But if we disagree and we respect each other, we can create a third alternative, a solution that neither of us could have come up with alone. Part 3. Renewal habit. 7. Sharpen the saw. Covey tells a story of a man sawing a tree for hours. He's exhausted. Someone suggests he take a break to sharpen the saw. He says, "I don't have time to sharpen the saw. I'm too busy sawing." To be effective, you must regularly renew yourself in 4 areas: physical, social, emotional, mental, and spiritual. This is the habit that makes all the others possible. The story of the woodcutter. A man is struggling to cut down a tree. He's been at it for 5 hours and is physically exhausted. A neighbor walks by and says, "Why don't you take a break and sharpen that saw? You'd finish much faster." The man pants and says, "I don't have time to sharpen the saw. I'm too busy sawing." We are the saw. If we don't take time for our physical health, our mental growth, and our spiritual peace, we become dull and ineffective. Stephen Covey's work isn't a quick fix manual, it's a character-building journey. It's about moving from being a victim of your circumstances, like poor Martha and her eggs, to being the architect of your own destiny. I want to hear from you guys. Which of these 7 habits do you think would change your life the most if you started it tomorrow? For me, I'm still working on habit 5, actually listening without preparing my rebuttal. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please hit that like button. It helps us keep the lights on here. We are BloomShelf Hub, and our mission is to help you grow, one chapter at a time. Make sure to subscribe and stay tuned to the channel for more summaries that feed the mind and the soul.